Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons, where you can sign up to be a member of the Shannons Club, your local Holden certified service centre, Pace Farm the enjoyable egg, and Heron Forbes Machinery House, where you can buy online. G'day and welcome to today's show. I've brought you back to Wagga Wagga in the New South Wales Riverina. I have found 30 acres, a big shed, and Kenworths, cars and memorabilia are on the simmer, about to be served in this week's Classic Restos on the road. Welcome back. It's nice to be here in the beautiful Wagga Wagga of New South Wales. And thanks to Paul Westblade from the Charker Car Club here, he's lined us up with this guy, the victim of today's episode. Meet Neil McLean. Larger than life, this jovial enthusiast owns the Windscreen Doctor and Riverina Glass in Wagga Wagga, New South Wales, and employs some locals. Neil found 30 acres just out of town a few years ago, and he has put the 30 acres to good use. As the door opens to Aladdin's Cave, the outside feature of an unassuming shed is quickly forgotten about. Inside here is an EH Prem, a South African HQ Chev, more on that later, a HQ Monaro, a slimmed down Kenworth that looks like it's been eating salad, and a room of memorabilia that'll take every one of us back to our childhood. This, my friends, is a nostalgic mecca, the type of place you could settle into for a few hours. How incredible is this for today's episode? Hello, Neil.
Hello, Fletch. How are you, mate?
Good. Thanks for the invite into your shed.
Yep, no problem at all. No problem.
It's one of these places you walk through the door, the old jaw drops about 100 mil, and then you're in awe of what's around. You don't know where to look next.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I got a bit of stuff, I suppose you could say. Yeah.
It's nice to be a hoarder, and especially when you've done such a cross-section across so many things. It's not just cars.
That's right. A few trucks involved, and mainly me cars. I love me cars, but I suppose the trucks are a passion too. Yeah.
Well, we'll get to that later. Now, behind us, a 1964 EH. It looks the original deal here, apart from the wheels, right?
Apart from the wheels, I bought it pretty well 5 years ago. I've only put the wheels on it, the scratch plates and the mud flaps, and pretty well beautiful Premier.
Make you feel pretty good knowing you've got an EH?
Yeah. It was the year I was born, so that was the passion of why I bought it.
There you go. Yeah. EHs, said this before on the show, haven't they come into their own? They all have, all the old Holdens, all the old cars have. But the EH, they sold plenty of them.
They did. This is probably my most favourite car out of all my cars, but yeah, I get pleasure out of driving this one. It drives like a brand new car.
The beautiful interior, a nice tan bucket seats. They did a good job on the inside with these, didn't they?
Yeah, well, this one has been restored as far as the interior, and it has had a Duco at one stage, but at the end of the day, it is an original car, and it's a Wagga an original car, so.
We look inside the big console there to operate the fan. You need that big console to support one switch. I've always believed in that.
Yeah, maybe. I suppose you've got to have that fan working somehow.
Absolutely. And the gauges up on top of the dash too. That was a real symbolic thing for EHs. It gave it a real sporty look. And I remember when I was a little kid this high, you'd see these things getting around with P-plates on them, you know, and even as a little kid, if you saw those 3 gauges up on top of the dash, and that was a sporty car.
Yeah. Well, this one's actually got 4 on the top of the dash, actually.
There you go. I've got to have a better look.
Plus the rev counter, but that's about the only added extras, I guess, in this car. So
that was the thing back in the day, the jelly bean mags, gauges up on top of the dashboard, and that's what you did. Those basic modifications really, well, helped to transform a car back then.
If you wanted to be different, you put twin carbies on it and made it go.
Speaking of which, engine up front?
Yeah, just the normal 179. It's not the original engine to it, but the original engine, I believe, is in Junee. which is 40 k's away from here. But yeah, this one was built for this car before I bought it. I haven't done anything to the motor.
Such a nice shape, the EH too. Drivability is good too. Vision is good out of an EH, isn't it?
Yeah. This one goes all right. It has had a 4-speed put into it, which is not original. This would have been a Premier, would have been an column auto. So it has had a 4-speed put in at one stage, done before I got it. But yeah, it's still a beautiful car. Goes all right. Good in the gearbox. Yeah. This EH Holden means a lot to me. I've had it for about 4 years. I bought it because it was the year of manufacture of my birth date, which is 1964. Saw the car, chased it for a few times trying to buy it. I was always sold. And then one day I got the opportunity to actually purchase the car, bought the car, and here we are now. So it's been a Wagga car, as far as I'm aware, all its life. I think it's had quite a few owners, and I'm talking 10 or 12 or 15 owners. I've chased it around for like 20 years. Anyway, eventually bought it, but yeah, it was always been a Wagga car as far as I'm aware, bought brand new in Wagga. I'd say being a 1964 Premier, to buy one of those back in the day, obviously you could buy a special, but a Premier was obviously a little bit dearer, if you could afford one, I guess, back in the day. But if you'd been able to buy one, I'd say your life was just made. To drive that car, I just appreciate it 100%. It just drives like a new car. There was been a lot of money spent on it before I bought it, so obviously being a Resto in its time, it does really drive like a really good car. I just really appreciate the driving of it. It's a beautiful car to drive. It steers, brakes, everything. Go to car shows, a bit of a head turner. Just really, honestly, spot on car. No, it's not for sale. I've had a few people trying to buy it off me, but no, it's not for sale. And it was funny because the person I bought it from, the bloke I bought it from, he said, are you going to sell it or are you going to keep it? He said, it's X amount if you're going to keep it, it's X amount if you're going to sell it. I said, no, I'm going to keep it. And that's my word, I'll keep it. I've had a bloke trying to buy it off me, but no, it's not for sale. It's probably one of my best cars.
Okay, Neil, goes without saying, you're a Holden legend. Because of that, please take this Holden Legends cap.
Thank you very much, Fletch. Appreciate it. And I suppose I could thank GMA for the hat and for you being here today, or it wouldn't have happened.
No problems at all. Not only that, there's also something else to give to Neil, and it's one of these. Stay there, Neil. Don't go anywhere. Please accept as well one of these Holden Legends packs.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I suppose once again, thank you and thank GMA.
Now, you can get yourselves one of these Holden Legend packs just like Neil when you visit gmstore.com.au. Good on you, mate. Well done.
Thank you, Fletch. I appreciate it.
I've been a motoring enthusiast all my life. My Coupe 4 is rare and very special. A real performance car with all-wheel drive grip. I'm not a car club bloke and I don't work on it myself, but I do have a great mechanic. One day, I might even get that HQ. When it comes to insurance, it's got to be Shannons.
Shannons shares your passion. Call Shannons on 13 46 46. Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
When it comes to cars, there are some brands that will remain with us forever, no matter what. The Holden was always Australia's own car, held high in the hearts of many. Those lines, that chrome, the stories around them, and the people that owned them. From the classic through to the final, you can still trust in genuine Holden and AC Delco parts, available through the Holden Certified Service Network. Have a look for your nearest Holden Certified Service Centre at holden.com.au, and let's keep supporting Australia's own. Welcome back. Gone through the shed, down a hallway, opened about 16 doors, closed them, walked through another 3 or 4, and came out into this back room. What did this used to be, Neil?
This used to be 7 horse stables. So I converted it from the horse stables into a man cave. Oh. And then obviously all the toys started coming.
That reminds me, a friend of mine got kicked really bad by a horse yesterday.
Oh, okay, that's no good.
No, he's okay, he's stable.
He's stable. Yeah, rightio.
Now, talk about going back to one's childhood. Now, in here, again, it's a cross-section of memorabilia, toy cars, trucks, tractors. How long did it take you to get to this point? Well, I guess 57 years.
57 years. Oh, well, 40 of it anyway. I've had a lot of this since I was a kid, or in my early teens. Most of it's come from swap meets, word of mouth, buying off the street, whatever. eBay was a big seller there for a few years ago. But a lot of it I've had for a long time. But yeah, I've just collected a bit of everything.
Even those the chrome-plated hood ornaments up there on the rafter.
Yep. Yeah, well,
Beautiful collection.
yeah, my chrome swans, I've tried to collect them. I'm up to 42. So I do
He only needs one more to get to 43.
I've tried to collect them. I've probably got 20 of them in the last 10 years and the rest 20 and 30 years ago.
The bonnet emblem, the hood ornament, that was a big thing for the die-hard truckers, wasn't it?
That was pretty well a mascot or I don't know, a bit of an in thing, just an in thing, I guess. Yeah, every truck has a mascot.
So he was up on the front nice and shiny. It was very symbolic, wasn't it?
Whether it be a swan or a nude lady or whatever you want sort of thing. Yeah.
So, okay, in a room such as this, old stables, lots and lots of stuff hanging around. What would be the most dear to your heart? What means the most to you in here, apart from everything?
Probably me tin trucks, to be honest with you. Truck orientated, so I suppose there's me tin trucks. There's a couple of trucks here I'd never sell, but there's some here that I don't sort of really care, but I just have them. But there's quite a few that I passions for. So yeah, no, all good.
Moving through the stable, what a collection. Rarity. You look up rarity in the dictionary. There's a picture of this car behind us, a 1973. Looks like a HQ Statesman, but tell us the story, Neil.
Well, it's actually a 1973 HQ Statesman Chevrolet sedan manufactured by GMH. Only 664 of them ever produced. That was exported to South Africa and New Zealand. This one went to South Africa. The rarity of this car is that it was a run out of the HQ Statesman shell with Monaro dash, coupe seats, shagpole carpet, vinyl roofs, 350 Chev, different grille, GDS chrome rims 8-inch wide from factory, and different bumpers, different strips down the side, and the number 350 on the mudguards.
Funny how the import models, they did different things trim-wise. A couple of years ago, we had a beautiful Charger on Classic Restos from Chrysler on the Murray, a car from the UK, and it had a different lens on the front guard, just different little things. And I know that the South African cars did the same. Mirrors, they used to put mirrors in funny spots too. Well, not funny spots, just different places to what we were used to, maybe on the front of the guard, sticking out as opposed to up on the door. So this is very interesting. I can't say that I've seen many of these. I might have seen one and I can't recall where, but it's such an interesting car.
Yep, and indeed it is. This one was sold obviously as 350 to South Africa, and virtually, like I said, it was a run-out model of all the bits and pieces from the Monaro, LS and Coupe and whatnot.
Because anyone in this country that has an original 350 HQ Statesman from the factory is a very lucky person as we stand here right now. You've got one. It's in a different style of car, but at the end of the day, it's still a Statesman. But the export model, which is just incredibly unique. Now, we look at some of the things that have been done to the car over time, obviously by the past owner. But what gets me is that alternator bracket, Neil. Yeah. We've got to lighten this baby up. We've got to drill holes in that like a bit of Swiss cheese. Well, let's make the car lighter by starting at the alternator bracket.
Well, the alternator bracket's got about a dozen holes drilled into it, as you can see. Obviously, I'd say for weight, for whatever reason in a bracket. But anyway, I don't know. But that's the uniqueness of that car, I guess. But
there's two automatic transmission coolers in the front too. Looks like they've been added as well. But look, this is what happens. Cars of this vintage, they go through multiple owners and they do their own little additions, and in their eyes, to improve the vehicle. There's nothing wrong with adding a transmission cooler to the front of a car. South Africa too. We don't know the conditions that this car was subjected to over there either, do we?
Yeah, well, this car is in pretty immaculate condition inside. Yes, it probably does need a paint job at one day to come. But as far as inside, it's immaculate. And GDS dash, T-bar auto. I believe it was sold with no radio, and I believe it went to South Africa with a black vinyl roof. And I believe over there was no mud flaps ever produced on them to go to South Africa. So I've got a bulletin from GMH, and it outlines all of what did and didn't happen with one of these to go to South Africa.
Next car now, an original 1973 HQ, a GTS Monaro. This is a nice car.
It is indeed, Fletch. I've had it for 20 years. I'm the third owner. I remember this car when I was a kid, walking to sport from school. This car used to go past and I used to remember it. And what do you know? Here we are 40-something years later and I own it.
That's almost goosebump stuff, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Now, it's just had paint, I believe.
It has had a rejuco at one stage before I bought it, only because the young bloke I bought it off did actually hit a car and it had to have another new guard put on it, so he decided to paint the whole car. Being a colour where it does fade a little bit, so obviously that's why he painted it.
Yeah, back in the days when you could run into another car and just bolt another guard on, eh?
That's it, exactly. Not today.
There's something about these. You have a look, as soon as you open the door and just see the dashboard and the wheel and the GTS wheel centre, and of course that smell, the smell of the old Holden as well. This is a very special car, and to think that you've got it after all these decades.
That's it. Well, I've had it 20 years and it had 93,000 on it when I bought it, original kilometres. It's only got 95 on it now.
And being the 3082, got the Rochester on top, got the 4-barrel going on, turbo 400, great driveline.
Great driveline indeed, yeah. Goes as good as gold.
Now, this will have to be a bit of a shorter segment because it's a hard car to film. But we would have had to have got here last week for Neil to get all the other cars out. Anyway, at least we've got a bit of a sneak preview. Maybe next time we're back,
I'll be a bit more prepared.
We could see this out on the road maybe one day.
Yeah, maybe you will. Yeah, we'll do that.
Every weekend around Australia, motoring enthusiasts get together to share their passion for cars and bikes. It's a passion that brings us together. All sorts of people, all sorts of cars and bikes. From the classics of today to the classics of tomorrow. At Shannons, we understand enthusiasts. So when it comes to insurance, it's got to be Shannons. Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts. Call 13 46 46 for a quote.
They may not be making the classic Holden anymore, but the legacy lives on. You can still have a Holden certified service using genuine Holden and AC Delco quality parts at over 180 centres across Australia. Go to holden.com.au to find your nearest centre. Book your Holden in, maintain the pride. If you own a classic, it just has to be insured with Shannons. Why not pick up the phone and give Shannons a call for a quote and a chat on 134646. And the Shannons Club awaits you. For more information, visit shannons.com.au. Welcome back. Time now for something very different on today's show. Behind us, a 1975 S2 Kenworth. Now, Neil, I don't know what's happened here, mate. I've got taller all of a sudden.
Well, I think my truck's got smaller.
Now, this custom job, this is fantastic what you've done here. I know it's a head turner. You've told me plenty of stories of what it's like when you're out on the street and people coming up to you at truck shows. What inspired you to do this?
I've had the passion for one of these to build when I was a kid. I saw a picture in a truck and bus magazine in 1976 of a little one they did in America, and I kept that picture and I said one day I'm going to build it. So one day I did.
Okay, we look at the truck. It's smaller. It's lower to the ground. Chassis. Which way have you gone there?
So I went to a C30 Chev, which is a 1975 model. So obviously stripped the cab bonnet and all the rest of it off it, and had a 292 six-cylinder Chev motor in it until I wore it out, and then I put a 350 Chev in it, and then today it takes a six-cylinder 6BT Cummins, baby Cummins.
Oh, wow, it'll go good.
Yeah, Allison's 4-speed auto. Yeah, top speed of 105. That's all I need.
There you go, mate. Now, we'll look at the sleeper cab, for example. Now, the whole truck's narrower as well, so obviously some cut and shut work, some very good custom fabrication has been done here.
So the bonnet has been cut down in the mudguards and the side of the bonnet. The cab is completely all original, bar the mirror's been dragged in a little bit from being oversized. And the bunk, I've took 140mm out of the width of the bunk, and obviously made 2 bunks into one. And there we go. There's our bunk.
What's so cool too is when you open the doors, it's still Kenworth all day long inside. It's just beautiful. It's like a lounge room in there. It's traditional for these trucks. The studs and the padding and just the way that they were upholstered. I think that's just so classic of the era. Before you did this, what was the truck's history? What did it used to be in its last life?
So it was sold brand new in Melbourne to Alltrans, which was orange and white, like the TNT colours. Then it went to a bloke at Dalesford in Victoria, and he had it for quite some time as a prime mover towing a normal flat top trailer. Then he tipped it over, and then I acquired it through the local trucking supplies, and that's when I got the passion to build it in 1999.
Mate, the pointy paintwork, the decals on the side of the truck, I've seen it from somewhere. We had a bit of a chat earlier with Moving On, the TV show. Now, that truck, from memory, that was white and green, correct?
Yep. White with green stripes, and that's actually where I got the idea from with the stripes. I wanted to keep it practical for the fact of too much colour fades and all the rest of which I've been there. And
where are all those TV shows these days? You know, BJ and the Bear and movies like Smokey and the Bandit and Convoy and Jewel. Would have to go down as one of my favourite movies with Dennis Weaver, made in 1972, just north of LA, between there and Palmdale. What an era.
Absolutely, I enjoy that Jewel movie. I watch it time and time again.
It's a cracker. It really is. It really is. It's interesting too where you go back, because you mentioned too that growing up as kids in the 70s, these are the trucks that we can remember. A great friend of mine, Frank Pace, on recent episode of Classic Restos. Now his memories of the 50s internationals, because that's where he started. So it does reflect, I believe, when we were younger and just what we remember at the time.
Well, I've probably been a Kenworth fanatic. I've had the joy and the love of owning these all my life, since I could afford one anyway.
You met some characters too, haven't you?
Yeah, a couple of blokes in Sydney we won't mention. David Chapman.
You know who you are.
Bruce Scudder.
Absolutely. Now, this truck, you've been around a lot in it. Tell us some of the places you've been to. Maybe the longest trip that you've done in this truck.
Right, in 2004 we went up to the Kenworth up at Alice Springs to Hall of Fame. Drove it up and drove it back. That was a pretty exciting week. Some few stories to tell there. And probably been to nearly and most every truck show in New South Wales. Bar a couple, but I mean Sydney, Clarendon and everything, and been to Castlemaine quite a few times, and most truck shows. Well, this funny little Kenworth here behind me, I built this 21 years ago. It's been a bundle of joy. I've been everywhere in it, Alice Springs, Sydney, every truck show. At the end of the day, I love it to death. I'd never part with it, and really, it's just been the best thing I've ever built, and everybody knows me because of this truck. So my dad was a driver all his life. He had his own transport business at Darlington Point. And then when I was born, we came to Wagga. He still retained with one truck, which he sold in 1975. And then he went to work for Finnemore's for permanent driver, earning about $380 a week, which was probably big money back in them days. And then due to an accident at Finnemore's, he gave it away, remained in a truck of his own, which was a tip truck around town. Did that until he retired, and then that was Dad's career of transport. So that's obviously where I get it from. Right, my dad was able to go for a drive in it just before he died, and that's sort of sentimental to the fact of I would never sell it. So just one thing, memory of Dad. To drive this little Kenworth has given me years of enjoyment. I just love driving it. I've actually sort of probably, if anything, put it away a little bit now. I only drive it on weekends because I now get nearly as much enjoyment on a weekend to drive it than when I did when I was driving it every day.
A place like this, it's a toe in the water. You could spend hours just walking around. It's a credit to you, and also for the Windscreen doctor and Riverina glass as well. You employ local people. You're a good bloke here for Wagga. And Neil, on that note, I just want to thank you again for your time today in showcasing just some of what you have here.
Yeah, well, that's fine, Fletch. I appreciate you coming down. I appreciate what you've done, and obviously Classic Restos is a great show, so I look forward to seeing it on the TV.
Good on you, Neil. We'll be back.
No worries. Thanks, mate.
You're welcome. Thanks,
Okay,
mate.
See ya.
You can like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Classic Restos TV and watch catch-up episodes at shannons.com.au. Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons, where you can sign up to be a member of the Shannons Club, your local Holden certified service centre, Pace Farm the enjoyable egg, and Heron Forbes Machinery House, where you can buy online.